Joe, can you hear me? Joseph?
Yeah, I can hear you. Just give me 1 second. All right, here we go. Sorry it took me so long. I'm so fucking tired.
Joe, did I tell you about this?
Yeah, sorry, I got the thing you sent me. Just give me 1 second, I can check it out. I was doing
What
this.
thing? We're live.
You said you wanted me to look over something before.
No. Oh, just add it to the fucking show prep.
I'm sorry, okay.
No, we're good. Why are you sorry? Jacob V. Weekly, March 3rd, 2021. I feel like I need to start the show more abruptly so people know it's starting. That was I was playing that music from that songwriting challenge I'm doing. That I want to write a song like Enya or like Kate Bush, like something really theatrical and kind of like
Silhouette, silhouette.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, it's definitely got to be about water. Looking at pictures of lighthouses, and so that's like it kind of sounds more like an X-Files alternative theme song, but. It's a work in progress. It's just 8 bars.
Oh my God. Why on earth?
Sorry, I'm having a potato bowl from the Mix Grill from Halal Place on Postmates near me. Always a banger.
Didn't you have a bean burrito like 5 minutes ago?
No, I had 2 bean burritos over an hour ago. All right, let's jump right in here. Today in the news, we have so much we want to get to. We have a very special guest on today for our 20th episode. He has nothing to do with the podcast thus far, but he is a good friend of mine, and I can't wait to catch up with him. I'll let that be a surprise. In case he has an emergency and can't show up. Joe, I think John Mellencamp is a great indicator of the social cultural divide across our nation right now. You know John Mellencamp? You're a younger guy.
Yes, I'm familiar.
Like some people hear sucking on a chili dog outside the Tasty Freeze, and they think, like I do, ick. Why is that celebrated Americana? Why are we listening to a song about sucking on a chili dog? And other people hear that same lyric in that same song, and they say, yes, deliver me to the holy mediocrity of a heartland sausage. And I think we're getting to the point where those people on either side of that issue are coincidentally on the other sides of a lot of other issues, and they're kind of refusing to tolerate each other in a way that's really crazy. For example, we have 2 really great progressive, liberal mayoral candidates, both female, here in St. Louis. That just there was just an election yesterday. You may have seen on our Jacob V Weekly Instagram page. I made some Kara Spencer memes that apparently were only funny to me and like one other guy. Not a big deal. Make sure you find us at Jacob V Weekly, JACOBVIWEEKLEY. Sorry, just LY. God damn it. Oh no, we're gonna fix all that in post.
We need some warm-ups.
We need a tip of the tongue, teeth, and lips. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. And what basically we're gonna get into here in a minute is some of that business. But I'm looking at the binary that's affected the last couple national elections. and it's sort of playing out in a very coded way with a office here locally that is typically very one way. It's a very like establishment Democrat office usually. Usually you just know who that next mayor is going to be. Here. And we got a different situation. We have Kara Spencer, who was one of the two people I voted for, who is a nice young white lady who I also happen to know on good authority was escorted out of the Apple store at the Galleria because she did not like that her iPhone warranty was expired and kind of threw a fit. And I can sympathize. I've been upset when I feel like I'm being forced to upgrade. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to be forced to upgrade. But I don't make a scene and then almost get tased on my way out the building. And this is completely hearsay. I heard this from a guy who just knew the guy there. So
we really have to have him on to confirm that story.
We got it. It's like third hand right now, but it influences my feelings.
If she was going to get tased, that means that she...
I have no idea if she was going to get tased.
I mean, it was violent.
That's the worst
exciting.
thing that could have happened.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, she gets tased. And I don't want that on anybody. Now, Shashara Jones, who I voted for a couple times, got beat out by Lyda Crewsums last time.
They got new
safer option. Shashara's a very young, progressive, experienced local kind of politician. She's been like treasurer or something. But I'm starting to kind of feel like more people from within the system we've had in place are not necessarily the answer, right? So I've had my hesitations about Shashara just as I've warmed up ever so slightly to Kara in such a way that I'm really pouring like a lot of thought into the primary that's going to happen next month because I don't know. If I had to vote right now, I'd probably vote for Shashara Jones.
Where do you go, where are you voting? Where are you going to vote for this stuff?
You were so weird about trying to get people's exact geographical locations.
I mean, I just have never voted in this type of election. I need to know.
It's the same place
Maybe
I
you
voted
can tell
for
the
president.
public.
It's at a school nearby.
Okay.
Set up in a gym in a school nearby me.
That's cool. Right on. John Mellencamp, that was a weird little run you did there. You just don't like John Mellencamp?
You motherfucker. It's not. It's the exact same thing. Some people hear that lyric in that song and they like it, and some people, like me, are kind of grossed out by it. There's better lyrics to better songs.
My first exposure...
And this lyric came into my head this week while I was preparing for the show because it's like on a lot of memes. No, you're on. I can fucking hear you. And so this lyric is in memes lately in my feed, and I've been on Instagram more because we have an Instagram for the show at Jacob V Weekly, LY. And I was thinking, oh my God, everything is like that. Some people think, of course, this, like we talk about all the time, for example, of course the school should be open. Kids have to be in school. Other people feel intrinsically like, oh, we shouldn't send anybody into the building until it's safe. And those people are still at odds all the time. The health department is shutting down a local high school, I just heard on the radio on the way home, for a month because of the high number of cases. And it takes the city, or the county in this case, coming in and shutting it down for the school to agree to do it in that case. If the health department didn't say anything, the school would never go to the parents and say, we need to close because we have so many cases. The health department had to say something. You were saying, Joe?
That's wild. That's just wild that they actually had to step in, so they weren't going to do anything.
Well, they probably didn't know when the cutoff was, but they did not enact a cutoff. And I know how short-staffed these buildings can get right now.
Yeah.
You got half of your building out on quarantine, and if you're kind of tight-staffed anyway because you don't have tons of money in the district, like that's a problem.
I agree.
Good. We settled that. Moving on. You can't give me a little something so I can eat this potato?
I know. Look, folks, the...
Oh, never mind.
The audience. I know. I don't understand that. Jake's looking at trying to get a position at another radio program, but we will keep Jacob V Weekly the most hot.
Oh, that'd be great.
Part of the.
I'm just finding opportunities for me to talk more while seated.
So we're kind of moving our offices potentially, and I'm really excited.
That's probably not going to happen.
Salary.
Never mind. Quit making stuff up.
Okay.
Okay, so did you get the headline I sent you to put in here?
It's in there. It's right after
Good.
stuff.
I'll get there. First thing I saw, did you see they just yesterday passed an anti-transgender athlete bill in Tennessee?
That sounds like Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. It's very I keep wanting to say confidential. What's the word? Controversial. It's a very controversial situation because you have students who transition genders because of their own reasons, and then that's also the prime of their life athletically when they would compete in any kind of way athletically, and we don't want to exclude those kids from those situations. However, it's so much more rare than should necessitate a law, and laws like this are often passed in a sort of protest of something, right? You know what I mean? It was like Section 8, I think they call it. Not Section 8.
What's
Prop
your
8,
angle?
Like when California legalized gay marriage, but then Prop 8 I almost said debunked, but not criminalized it, but it invalidated it again,
right?
Back and forth, you know what I mean? And that's why it had to go all the way to the Supreme Court. Was years of that kind of stuff.
Right.
Similar issue here. And it does sound like Tennessee because of the heavy evangelical vote, and there's a lot of people with influence and money that could afford to be passionate about this issue in such a way to make this sort of statement. This goes back to sucking on a chili dog, brother. Now you've cursed it. Now it's going to plague the whole episode. Every other thing is going to come back to sucking on a chili dog. So
that's really good.
This one, bitch.
That's good. So we know why you put that in there. But I do have a question.
This is the same thing. Some people look at this very headline and they respond like how I respond, which is, that sounds fucked up. That sounds like Tennessee. That's some ignorant shit. Like, that's not necessary, blah, 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 whatever you want to say. Other people say, well, I don't know that I want a 17-year-old man wrestling with my daughter. And then I have to fight with those people. Those people will be here, and there's going to be tons of people. I shared a TikTok, I think, today about this, that act like they're in the spectrum on that issue somewhere. And it's really about compassionate response is the best way to approach those situations that people are acting like that's what they're worried about. But it's, I think, more so legislation that's introduced as a political statement. For example, we also, I think, sucking on a chili dog part 7, The Return, brother. Morgan Wallen, this guy I can't fucking ignore. I was so excited when Jack White was going to be on SNL that time that we talked about a couple weeks ago. And he got to be on SNL because this idiot Morgan Wallen was supposed to be on SNL, but he was on Instagram at a nightclub with no mask on the same week. And so they said, nuh-uh, baby girl. And then they had that private jet booked in Nashville already. They said, who else do we know in Nashville that could come be on the show? Jack White and Daru and fucking Dominic Davis to the rescue, baby. It was lit. It was great. It was a great thing, and I loved it. And I thought, oh, that sucks that Morgan Wallace can't put on a mask and not go out to a nightclub, and now he blew his shot to be on SNL. Well, then, a couple weeks ago, earlier this year, right, which, I mean, it's only been a handful of weeks, he's in the news again because he gets caught on camera hammered drunk calling his buddy the N-word, and neither of them happen to be African American, so it's inappropriate for them to say the N-word.
Yeah,
right? And then, hold on, sucking on a chili dog, brother.
That's right.
Now, his album has spent 7 weeks at #1 on the Billboard album charts, even after his COVID breach and his N-bomb scandal. His excuse was, I was on a 72-hour bender. That's why I was saying the N-word. And now it's almost as though, even though he's been blacklisted from TV and radio because of all this controversial behavior, he's selling tons of whatever you even sell now. I mean, I don't even know how you make money for 7 straight weeks as a publishing, recording artist. I have no idea how that would even, I guess he's selling copies of the album or getting some kind of streaming play because he's not on commercial radio.
Advertising. I do have a comment.
Please.
For both topics.
Save me for myself. I'm going to have a potato.
For both topics. So,
no, it's one topic. You see, you've made the whole thing about the binary, about some people intrinsically disagree on things, and it's like we're two different species of people.
Okay.
And it's sucking on a chili dog, Joseph.
So, Morgan Wallen, what I think is really interesting is he came back and he said, because he got all this support with plays, right? And you know what I think is amazing that he did is he went online and he was like, guys, I really deserve this. Well, what did he do? He said, let me see. His first comment about it was like, it was he was going after his fans for supporting him, which blows me away because it's like somehow he was able to come out not exactly a victim, but he was able to come out like you know what, guys, this actually, this is a call for change. It's like, wait, when did you become the spokesperson for it? You just said the N-word,
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt like James Franco responded to his kind of Me Too moment. Like he just kind of went on Kimmel and was like, "Oh, I'm sorry if anything was weird. I thought everything was cool," and then it was over. I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know you had that choice."
Wait, so here it is. So he says, country artist Morgan Wallen is again apologizing for getting caught saying the N-word. So he does this Instagram video, and it says, "I'm long overdue to make a statement regarding the incident. I want to collect my thoughts and seek some real guidance and come to you with complete thought." Okay, sorry, let me skip ahead.
Yeah.
He goes, "No, I let my son."
God.
I can't find the exact comment. He speaks to his fans though and says,
"What's his name?"
I used Morgan Wallen. Wallen said in the statement obtained by People, "There are no excuses for this type of language ever. I want to sincerely apologize." I'm trying to find. He said something to his audience though, and it was like, but the vibe I was getting was like, it's as if you are saying the N-word and then some KKK member comes in to back you up and you're like, whoa, well, no, and then suddenly you become the hero for shutting down the KKK member. And that's what I'm talking about. Anyway, sorry, full statement. And then back to the trans issue. Somebody posted something, a really good perspective that I thought was really strong.
Well, I was just thinking the Nashville connection is why those are next to each other, I think.
Right on.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, something really interesting that I saw was the thing about sports is that there will always be somebody better than you, and everybody wants to come and say, okay, well, what about Usain Bolt or something? It's like, yes, maybe one day, but in high school sports and college sports, there will always be somebody better coming up. And how does that change? Like, so what if there's a girl that was once a dude that is like making all these records? Unfortunately, they will always be known for being trans and setting those records, but also there will always be somebody better than you regardless. So if you aren't ready to compete with that, then sports isn't for you, because sports is inherently about really, and why not? Why wouldn't you be up to the toughest component?
You're right. I was just thinking
That's
myself,
what sports
Joe.
is about.
I'm thinking if I'm a 12-year-old girl, I want to fight a grown man. You know what I mean? Strip him down, put him in the ring. I want to really push, because why am I training in martial arts as a 12-year-old girl in the suburbs other than to eventually fight a bear who's going to be much larger than me? I have to be able to kung fu that fucking bear.
Right.
I think we have a guest with us. Jeremy, are you there?
I am.
Jeremy.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
He's not doing video.
Yeah, I guess not.
Come on,
There
Jeremy.
he is.
You're handsome.
Hold on. Thank
Jeremy,
you.
do you know who I am?
Hold on. Will you leave him alone? He's not even here yet.
Hi, I'm here now. That was very aggressive.
Well, I
Jeremy,
used
do
to
you know
work
who
at
I
Helium.
am?
I used to work at Helium.
Yes.
You remember?
No.
Oh, well.
Just
like
got
a
here,
comic.
Joseph. What are you talking?
Just like a comic. Ignore the staff.
It's I do not ignore the staff. I do apologize. I'm sorry. If you worked at Helium, yeah. Well, this is a fun way to start, to put me on defense and make me feel
I made
awkward.
him do that. It's all about disarming the whole situation. Because now we can paint it with whatever mood we want.
Uh-huh.
You have a sick
What's up,
studio.
y'all?
I love that. Look at his
Thanks,
studio.
man.
Yeah.
I'm looking. I'm here. Jeremy, hi.
Hey, bud.
So you're on Jacob V Weekly. This is my friend Joe Peary. He is kind of my Google guy and good friend of mine. And Jeremy is a lot of things. I met Jeremy at the Heavy Anchor. He needed me to play keyboard for a live action game show they used to do called Loser. And then we did a lot of other things musically and otherwise. But I wanted to kind of catch up for all sorts of reasons, and I thought it'd be appropriate. We're also having a mutual friend of ours in studio tomorrow for some content we're working on for a couple different reasons. So you've been on my mind. How are you?
I'm good. Who's our mutual friend?
Oh, Langan and crew.
Oh,
yeah.
fun.
I think we're going to record a thing kind of with and for her, and then I think they're going to record a spot for this show also. So,
oh, nice.
Just a little
I
teaser.
think I was supposed to be part of that, actually, and it got confirmed real late, and so I couldn't make it out. That's fun. I'm glad that ended up.
It just like real late.
Nice.
You know how people are with their anyway. So
yeah, it's really unfortunate that you couldn't be there. Bummer. Oh, President Obama is going to be there.
I kind of made Joe join me tonight, and I'm kind of asking myself why.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, Jake.
Wrap it up, player.
I'm muted.
Great, he's muted. So, Jeremy, I don't even know. I don't want to assume that I know how to introduce you. Would you identify more as a comedian, a musician, a non-binary blob of goo?
I don't know. My taxes say I own a record label, so I'll go with that,
Right.
and then the rest can be whatever.
Yes. And that's something I want to talk about as well. Where do you want to start? You want to go chronologically, or do you want to go reverse chronologically? We're going to end, or we're going to start at birth?
I mean, that was Akron, Ohio, so we can go wherever you want from there.
Okay. I don't want to talk about Ohio right now. So let's move on.
Okay.
Jeremy, some of my favorite stuff that you've done is your stand-up. You have a lot of stand-up comedy available on streaming platforms, and I got to kind of engineer the recording of one of those releases, which was a really great learning experience for me. And so can you kind of talk us through, I guess you can't do a lot of stand-up right now because of COVID.
Well, I mean, no, you can actually.
That's what I want to know.
I mean, it kind of depends on the state. Like, for example, in St. Louis, Helium's been open since June
Of last year?
What's that?
I didn't know it was steadily open that long.
Yeah. Yep. They had a period between November and I think January where they couldn't serve food because restaurants weren't allowed to be open. So at that point, they were a retail situation.
It isn't a mall.
Yeah, true. Very true. So, I mean, I've actually done a decent bit of stand-up. We've done a number of albums. It's been different. It's been super weird.
Yeah.
But so has everything. I mean, you know what I mean? Like when you go like stand-up's been weird, it's like, well, everything's been weird. Like it's weirder if you go like, oh, it's been the same. It's like, oh, so you didn't give a shit, I guess.
Yeah, the weirdest thing for me is I haven't like sat and eaten in a restaurant this whole time.
I've only eaten in one restaurant in the last year. It was Blueberry Hill. I was in town and I was visiting, and I said hello to my friend Andrea, and I was just like, "Hey, I just wanted to say hi. I'm not eating here." And she goes, "Oh no, your seat's open," because there's this booth I always sit at Blueberry Hill. And I go, "Oh no, I'm not comfortable eating inside." And she goes, "Oh, that side of the restaurant's closed. We'll give you the whole half of the restaurant."
Oh, I would do that.
Yeah, no, and I was like, "Oh, I get the whole half of the restaurant." Like, I'm completely comfortable with that situation. So
Yeah, I would definitely do that.
that's the only restaurant I've eaten indoors in a year.
Yeah. I'm still eating. This is kind of a theme of the show, is the food that infiltrates the show. So if you see
Okay, what are you eating?
it's part of my thing. I'm not even hungry. They make me do it.
Oh, okay. Who's they?
I do it to myself.
Okay, right on. Sure.
I'm just
Yep,
I got a real buffet lined up because I'm on a Euro with fries, but I just had a potato bowl, and then I have a Greek salad and enough hummus to kill a mule. So We're in it for the long haul tonight, baby.
Okay.
The space there looks beautiful. Now, I can't remember which of the Carolinas you're in, but did you not tell anybody because of the CIA?
No, I'm in Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
North Carolina. Joe, you were right. Joe knew it was north. I was like, it could be the other one. I don't know. And is that an adjacent to something?
Good Nights Comedy Club is here. The University of North Carolina is here. Duke is here.
Duke, that's the one.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard
that's
of that.
in Durham. That's in Durham. So yeah, there's a lot of colleges. I mean, where I live in Chapel Hill is where UNC is, so it's a huge college town. There's just kids everywhere and whatnot.
Yeah, I love children.
How's the comedy scene?
Good actually. We're doing like 4 albums this year with people from specifically here. So there's some really great comics.
That's awesome.
Guy named Caleb Elliott we're recording next week. We're doing a guy named Mark Brady in a couple weeks. We just shot some video for this guy Michael Miller, who's super funny. Brett Blankney. There's a lot of really funny people here. So it's
So that's an obvious segue. So let's talk about that for a minute. So I love that there is a scene where you are and that you're participating that way. But talk to me about the record label and kind of that process, because I think it's something that's really interesting that not a lot of people know about.
So
the process-wise, I mean.
Like recording or process of what?
Well, yeah. So okay, so it's mostly a comedy label.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of engineer the recordings of the shows, you were telling me?
Yeah, so depending on the show and depending on the club, I'll either go and engineer or I can do it remotely in some of the clubs because they're all like we have permanent. I mean, when I lived in St. Louis, you were there. I had like wired my whole basement essentially to be a live room, and so I used that same technology to wire all these comedy clubs, including Helium in St. Louis, to be always ready. So it's just a question of if I can log in remotely. So yeah, I engineer these albums and we bring them down and I bring them literally into the room you're looking at. This is the room that last week had the number 22 album on iTunes.
That's awesome. Wow.
Not comedy, by the way, the number 22 album on iTunes.
Wow.
So that was mixed in this room you're looking at. So yeah.
So that's so exciting because that's also that part of that industry is also kind of COVID proof in that, you know, the machine that kind of makes all the stuff that you capture at a performance ready to go out to the public. I mean, you're doing all that kind of in your home space, which is so fun.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's like that itself was lucky. I mean, it wasn't really till like July where I was just like, oh, I don't have anything to do. Like we recorded so much stuff early last year that you know, I spent March, April, May, and part of June just like trying to get through all the recordings we had. Because we also do a lot of like best of, you know what I mean? Like we'll record 10 comics in St. Louis, we'll record 10 comics in Portland, 10 in Philly, 10 here in Raleigh, and then put them on an album together. Kind of like, I mean, the way I looked at it was like kind of like if you remember like old punk compilations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I've never heard of any of these bands, but I trust this label, so I'm going to now listen to all these bands and maybe I'll find one or two I like.
Yeah, or even if you don't trust the label, it's like, I need another CD in my Ford Focus.
Yeah. I mean, so that was we did a lot of that. So it is, I mean, we were lucky to do a couple recordings, you know, during when everything seemed really bad. And now that, you know, they say that by late May, everybody's going to be able to have
for sure.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, no, you can just see it in booking. Like all of a sudden, like,
already,
people are like, yo,
it's already booking.
What do you got in June? What are you doing in September? Like, it's already like I've advised a couple people, like, hey, you might want to get your date now because the way things are looking, like, because there was that article where it was like comics who were booked in theaters a year ago are gonna end up in comedy clubs because someone else is going to take those theater dates. And so, you know what I mean? That pecking order just like slides down. You know what I mean?
That's kind of what I wanted to ask you about as far as that part goes, is as we approach this time where people can get back out and do live performance, you know, to any scale, to the level that they used to, is that going to really mess up either like rising or like mid-tier performers that like, are they going to have to get out of the way for all these people that have been log jammed for a year?
I think yes and no. I think like with everything that there's the mother of invention, which is like, okay, well, I was so it's comedy is a great way to judge this because people get very lax in comedy and they go, okay, we'll just use St. Louis as an example, and they go like, okay, well, I get to feature at St. Louis Helium 4 times a year, blah 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 blah. Well, now everything got super weird. So some people are going to go like, man, I don't get to do that anymore. Life's hard, and I'm just going to be mad. And then other people are going to be like, all right, well, then I'm just going to start my own thing over here, and I'm going to get increasingly better at this. And then when I do find a spot, people are going to be like, holy shit, like that person got really good. It's so necessity is the word I was looking for. That's the mother of invention.
I thought you were trying to make me guess, and I couldn't remember.
No, it was my own personal thing. It's been a long day.
I bet.
So yeah, I think that comics are resourceful, some, and some are cranky. And I think the weird thing about comedy, I really believe, is it depends on how good the most recent thing you've written is. Like when you're writing good shit, it's just like, I'll find a stage. I don't care. This stuff's hilarious. I'm really excited about it. And when you're kind of like, you get kind of crusty and you're like, I always do blah. Well, have you written anything? I have not, but I have earned blah. Right. It's like, all right, man, well, you're going to be the one who's cut out of this equation,
That's great.
Do you think anybody breaches the threshold for that? Do you think anybody has the right to be that shitty?
To be old and crusty?
In your group, yeah.
I'm people will be crusty.
No, I honestly don't. I mean, I think there's people of a certain ilk where it's like, hey, you're hugely famous. There are like lines to where it's like, yeah, it's okay that you didn't write anything because you're on this national tour or whatever, and you're cycling through that tour schedule of material just like a band would, right?
Right.
But in terms of local, no. If you're quote unquote local, you should. My thing was always, if I'm local, I should be willing to take a risk and go like, I'm going to try a bunch of new stuff. Because if it doesn't work, the club already knows I'm funny, right? So like, it's okay.
Oh, that's a great point.
I'm not in jeopardy.
Like you could take risks, not in a way that you're afraid of losing your regular spot, but more so that you could take risks because you know that you're also standing on all the performances you've done there before. And so that home field advantage is a privilege.
Yeah, I mean, music's the same way. Like, I mean, just the Defeated County is a great example, especially with Langan. Like, Langan and Devin are really good friends with Kit at Off-Broadway, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, the Defeated County can do weirder stuff at Off-Broadway. Can they do it every single time? Probably not. But will they get a little more levity than someone playing it for the first time? Yes, right? And comedy's the same way. It's like, hey, we trust you, so you get a little bit of levity this time. Like, and so if you're still just hammering the same jokes over and over again, and then someone goes, yo, if you're not going to write anymore, like, there's always someone trying to get into your spot, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so I don't think anyone earns, like, being old, crusty person.
Yeah, so I have so many things I want to lead that into. I don't know how much time you have. But Joe was
I have
asking,
nothing going on.
Good. Strap in, sister, because I haven't even opened the hummus. Joe was wondering kind of some
Are you
of your
going to throw
favorite...
the hummus over your shoulder, too?
Everything goes over the shoulder. The hummus will have to be emptied, though. Otherwise, the cats will get upset. I got a rug back here.
Fair.
My laptop
and they do a nice zhuzh oil on top. So Joe was saying he was curious about some of your favorite environments to record comedy in. And I also want to dovetail that into... how is the standard comedy environment going to change as we merge back into it? I know, like, all of the like A-listers that moved all over the country or whatever, they're doing stuff outside. I don't know if you like outside comedy. Talk to me about that.
About outside comedy, it's awful.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
It's the worst. It like I've done it a couple times. It's hard enough to get like I've always said with comedy, it's like you're essentially asking, until you're really famous, you're asking a bunch of strangers to just listen to you talk.
That's what seems so crazy about this to me. Because Joe has always asked me why I never pursued stand-up like pre-COVID. And a lot of it is like when I'm playing guitar and I'm there with other people, it seems more like it's a group excuse. Like, especially when it's indoors. I'm not like... But and even if you're playing music outdoors, it's loud enough that people can just walk by and ignore you, and it's okay. But like when you're doing,
and
like,
you can
you're
dance,
delivering nuanced comedic material verbally, like you kind of need people to stop and pay attention for at least a second.
No, it's outdoor comedy unless, again, like you watch these things, it's like, well, it's Dave Chappelle outdoors. It's this person. It's like, well, fuck yeah. If I was walking down the street and I was like, and I mean, I'm not saying that's even what this is. Clearly, people bought tickets to this.
Right.
But if I'm walking down the street and I go, hey, is that Dave Chappelle standing on that roof telling jokes? I'm going to stop and I'm going to focus and I'm going to give him time to set up. You know what I mean? But like, if it's just, say, a random comic named Jeremy Estick standing on a roof, like, I just say this because there's 6 in Chapel Hill that has done stand up on their roof, like during the pandemic, and it's like, I'm not saying it's even a bad idea. I'm just saying, like, if I'm walking down the street and someone's doing stand up, I'm gonna be like, yo, why is that crazy person yelling at me? Right? Like, I mean, like,
why is that guy on that roof talking about his dick? There's no police.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Sir!
Whereas, like,
sir,
music...
are you okay? Are you mad? Sir.
I'm just sorry. Like,
I'm picturing
I didn't. No, go ahead.
No, I'm picturing just like you said, like especially like an angry comedian that really likes to like yell down the front of the stage. Like that person, I'm picturing them on the roof of Vintage Vinyl for some reason, because that's usually the only place where I walk for any period of time is in that intersection. And I'm picturing like a fucking angry comic on top of the thing and screaming down at people.
Yeah, it's just a bad idea. Where I think with a band, it's like you're walking down the street and you're like, I don't know, do I want to dance to this? You know what I mean? Right. It's like it's always been my argument about Public Enemy, which is why they're the greatest group of all time. It's like you got into Public Enemy because it made you want to dance, and then you went, oh, there's all this really smart socio-political stuff going on. I was just shaking my ass. I didn't even realize what I was listening to. You know what I mean? And
Joe, clip that, please. If you
shaking
clip
your ass for
that line for me. I was just shaking my ass, and all of a sudden, it's a revolution.
But I mean, honestly, that's what music can do that stand-up can't.
Right.
Like stand-up is you're just like, do I want to listen to this person yelling at me? Whereas like if you're walking down the street and you hear bass, you're like, all right, does this feel a certain way?
Right. Yeah. And I'm sure also the response is like, you know, the comedian's going to be better in a room because he's going to hear all the laughter and, you know, there's that whole dynamic, which there's a lot of...
Talk to me about that. So let's say that we're moving the ideal comedy venue back inside. Are we going to be able to do theaters? Because doing theaters where you can only do couples every other row or whatever and then 2 seats between them or something, that sounds like a nightmare. It's going to be weird to see like a theater, like a Fox theater at a third capacity.
Okay, well then you tell me, because this is actually I'm actually interested in this. How long do you think we stay at these cap limits? Just your guess.
Well, that depends on vaccination. I mean,
right.
I mean, I think there will be cap limits the rest of this calendar year.
See, I don't agree.
Good. When do you think they come off? Do you think Texas is really starting the domino?
No, I don't think Texas is starting the domino. I think it's summer.
You think summer will do it?
I think you're already watching, and this isn't Texas. It's just a question of when do people actually get vaccinated. It's not a question of do we suddenly decide it's over, because no one decides it's over. It's over when doctors tell us it's over. Right?
Sure.
Like that's so if you...
But you don't think there would be some kind of cap limit? Even if it's 80%? That's a good point.
Okay, explain to me the difference between 80% and 100%.
I'm not a doctor.
I mean, I understand the difference between 25% and 100. I also understand the math behind that. Thank you. But if we've accepted certain norms, right? If we've accepted that you have to be at least 6 feet from people, right? Like we've accepted that as a general rule, perhaps even further, but 6 feet at a minimum. And if you're going to set a cap and go like, okay, well, the only way we can do 6 feet from each other is 35% cap, whatever. You can't just jump that up to 80 and go like, well, now we decide you can be within 3 feet of each other. Like that logically.
Because you're right, because the percentage is directly correlated to how many people and the square footage of the whole thing. So the distance would have to change. That's why the numbers are where they are, not so much. Okay, you're right. I wasn't connecting those things. But I only got a 23 on my ACT twice.
I missed one question on my SAT.
That's awesome.
That's why I brought it up.
Killer,
I remember that part.
Yeah. That's a fun fact from my life.
I remember that part.
I think my opinion about the comedy clubs though is that I think the comedy clubs will prevail because, the crowd because it's funny, like let's say they take off all the thresholds for people who can come in and full capacity, and these people, they're gonna go and they're gonna fill it up. They're not gonna like wait and be like, because that's people who go to comedy clubs aren't the type of people that are gonna be prudes. They're not gonna be like, no, we should wait. We should just see. We should let everything open up first. And I think that's what's great about comedy.
Joe is saying that the people that go to comedy clubs are crazy.
Yeah, they're so shitty that they'll go.
Well, no, he's right though. That's the funny thing. So that's my favorite story for all of this. So, intermittently, off and on during this period, I've myself done stand-up because it was just like things were available, and I was trying to get my own recording in, and I knew that things were starting to change when I was in Philadelphia in January, and I got heckled by a drunk person in the crowd. And I was like, oh, that hasn't happened since before the pandemic. Like crazy, like, because people treated like coming out to a comedy show as like, this is our entertainment and this is very special and we're not gonna misbehave or whatever. And then just the drunk guy screaming at me in Philadelphia, I was like,
and then it was the old world was back.
Yep, we're back. This feels especially Philadelphia. It was like, this feels familiar. All right, awesome.
It's awesome. Prevails.
So how do you think this is going to influence the traditional arc of what a comedian is and how a comedian kind of develops on their way to the point where they're kind of working regularly, in the sense that, how are open mics going to come back anytime soon? Or, you know what I mean? This is kind of the conversation Joe and I have been having.
I hope so. Because that's where it comes from, right? Like every interesting idea starts from an open mic. It starts from something pure. So I hope, but it's like, I weirdly, a lot of people have quit. Like, that's the thing that yeah, a lot of people have quit. Like in terms of on a local level.
Wow.
So. And it's so funny because everyone was bitching before the pandemic. They're like, too many people are doing comedy. Like, I'm not saying on the club level. I'm saying on the comic to comic level. It's like, there's 4,000 people on open mic. Like, what? Well, pandemic knocked that shit right out.
Yeah.
So it's, I think it comes back. To me, because cap limits are just math. Right? Like if you just go, well, we did this cap limit because of this percentage and this distance, it's just a math equation. That's easy. Like you just go like, well, this is how math moves. And you could honestly go in and you could go like, well, it turns out if you only have like the first vaccine, you still need to be like 13 feet away from someone. I'm not saying that's a real thing. I'm just making that up. But I'm saying you could also do that math, right? Like you could do, okay, well, this room has this square footage, so you do whatever. But the thing that when you ask like, well, how does this come back? How does this affect people? Who comes back? The real question is mental, right? It's like, I think we're all like, I talked to 5 friends in the last day and a half who all are ready to quit their jobs and they all work in different industries.
It's crazy.
And that to me is it's like,
it's a wave.
That means something's going on. Like everybody's about ready to lose their shit. And it's because part of what I would argue is we're not mentally prepared to re-enter the world. Like, I mean, Jake, it's a great example. Like, I was in St. Louis in November and I borrowed one of your synths. And like we kind of talked on the street, but it was kind of weird. And I had my friend here from North Carolina, so it was like whatever. And what I wanted to do was give you a hug.
I was just ready. I was ready to kiss that motherfucker.
Oh, Andy.
Well, he was handsome. I was gonna give him a smooch. That's why I was uncomfortable.
The Gear Hawk on Instagram. Anyways, but I'm saying like, we're not ready. Like, if I was to, so I'm gonna be in St. Louis in April. Let's say I'm vaccinated by then. Let's say you're vaccinated by then. You're going to get a hug like you'd never believe.
I'm going
to
kiss you.
Because I miss
so
you.
Good.
Yeah, buddy. Absolutely.
And long.
Absolutely. And I'm fine. Like, I'm already like fine with that. Like going like, yeah, that's going to how it's happening. If I'm vaccinated, Jake's vaccinated, this is how it's happening. I don't care. Yep. But I think for a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not ready to re-enter.
Well, it's like, a level of like, awareness that we didn't used to have. We were sharing too many germs before, and we were just really used to them. And not you and me, but like everybody on Earth.
No, it's so again, and this is like more of an audio production conversation, but like when clubs started reopening and they were like, all the comics get their own microphone, and I was like, yeah, why weren't we doing this before? I've
always brought my own. Yeah.
Again, what's a 58? $100, $70 if you find it used. Like, it's so cheap. And I was like, oh my God, I've been doing this for 20 years and I own 58. Why was I not bringing my own?
Especially with stand-up, what gets me is it's not just the vehicle that your voice is traveling through to get to your audience. It's a part of your performance, and you're holding it and caressing it and nurturing it and touching it and getting closer to it and getting farther away.
Oh yeah, some people eat it. Yeah.
Some people lick it, like David Lee Roth, after they had 7 opening bands, and it looks like it's got stuff in it.
Yeah.
So good. So I'm thinking that's a big part of it, too. People are afraid of surfaces and air particles in a way that they never had to be before.
But that's also, like, already dissipated. Like, I'm just saying this is someone who's been doing recordings, and, like, I've had to learn to go, like, okay, we don't do 2 audience tracks and 1 mic track. Now it's 2 audience tracks and 3 mic tracks, 1 for each comic, right?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, those 2 guys decided to share a mic. And you're like, why the fuck would they do
set
that?
Up the other mic? Why are we sharing mics, guys?
It's not set, but that's the thing. It's not even setting up. The clubs always set it up. It's the comics are just like, yeah, we're just used to this. And it's like, do you know how gross that is? So gross. Even in a non-pandemic. It's like gross.
A toothbrush. It's like a toothbrush.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just imagining like CBGB, like, you know, some like later CBGB, and some guys just like, are we all using the same mic? Seriously?
Oh, like, yeah. Like, it's so not punk rock to give a fuck about sharing the mic. It's like,
or it's almost kind of punk rock to be like, this is kind of fucking gross. No, it's not. I'm sorry.
No, it is. You're right.
No, I was just letting him. We have to do that with Joe to keep him grounded. Is we have to just let him sit with it for a minute. It's like, what, you think you're a big man? You want to run a segment for 90 seconds, bitch? I'll ice you out so quick. I'll act like I'm frozen. I'll go like this.
Right. There he is. Is he frozen?
See? Good luck with that.
Oh, he's
sucker.
Super not.
So, Jeremy, talk to me about some of the stuff that you have available musically. That also, because I know I find your comedy wherever I find stand-up comedy. Otherwise, I listen to a lot of your stuff on Spotify. You have at least 3 full-length albums there of stand-up comedy, but you also put out original music throughout your career. And so, do you have anything you're still working on? I could see stuff behind you. You got a sweet organ, and that nice organ, bruh.
Thanks, bruh.
Yeah. So I didn't know what was up on that front. I know we have mutual friends that you've been in bands with and whatnot, but I didn't know what you were still into.
So Let's Not is still a thing.
Great.
I'm still writing. I still play with Andy, who you met, who is taking over for Bob, who plays drums. Michaela is still playing bass. So we're still a thing. Defeated County. We had our album come out in November. That's honestly, that's the most proud I've ever been of an album.
Great.
Like in terms of not just my work, but just everybody on it. And then
where'd you guys record that?
What's that?
Where'd you record that one?
The Defeated County album?
Yeah.
Listless Sound in St. Louis, Missouri. My old
I didn't
studio.
know if you recorded that here or if that was after you left.
It was recorded there and it was mixed in Raleigh. And a number of the guitar parts were recorded in Raleigh. Because I did my overdubs here. So yeah, and then the Shark Dad stuff. Some of that, it's weird when you Jason, obviously, Jason Robinson, and I listened to that old Shark Dad stuff, and I was like, those are pretty fun albums, man. So those still exist in the ether.
Oh sure, absolutely. And that's kind of I like I mentioned, worked on one of your comedy albums, but then you did a split 7-inch with Shark Dad, where it was a bit of your stand-up on one side and then a song of Shark Dad's on the other. Correct? Is that what I have?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah, and then I think Matt Basler did the art for that, and that was really great.
Yeah, so Matt did the art for that album that's called Whatever that you mixed.
And he's a good friend of the show behind the scenes. He hasn't been on yet, but he is been talking to me about our $70,000 hoodie project that we're working on here at the show. I don't know how familiar you are with the dogma of the show, but I thought I was going to make $70,000 off of a single batch of 100 hoodies because I did the math wrong.
Okay. Yeah, that
they would have to cost $14.50 a piece.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't sound right, but okay.
Yeah, well that's what happened. So I was doing the math about how much money it would cost to make the hoodies, and then I multiplied that by the number of hoodies I wanted to make, but the price. So for some reason I just multiplied again. And so I thought I was going to make more money than I've ever made on one batch of hoodies. And so meanwhile, I got my mom and my brother telling me they won't give me more than $30 for one. And I'm like, guys, how are we going to hit $70K if we're at $30 a piece? That's going to take thousands of hoodies. So Matt Basler is behind the scenes working really hard with me on that, on how to make the most expensive hoodies possible.
Mm-hmm. That feels like a Matt situation. I would also say that $1,000 hoodie feels like the greatest name for a late 90s band.
Yeah.
Write that down.
Did you guys have hoodies back then?
They were sweaters.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
You like how it's you guys? I wasn't even there.
Yeah. Well, Matt's great. If we're getting back to Matt, I think he's great.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I was just gonna say, what else are we gonna do? What else?
He knows how I feel about him.
He knows. And so that Defeated County record, is that on Spotify and whatnot? With
it is
everything else, and that's just the Defeated County. It's not. Didn't you speed Langan in the Defeated County back in the day?
Not that I know of. If it was, it wasn't when I was in the band. But yeah, it's just the Defeated County, and the album's called An Early Fall.
Mm-hmm. I have that that's on my Spotify. I see that in my rotation. So that came out last November?
Yes.
That feels like 100 years ago.
It does, actually.
What the fuck? GameStop was just a month ago. What happened? What is going on in the world?
Again, I think that's where we're all at this point where everybody's just ready to fucking murder each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's time. It's so hard. Time just doesn't even make any sense anymore.
Yeah, I don't like it.
True. Yeah, I've been loving people more.
Jesus fucking Christ.
God
damn it.
I just really, I don't know, connection,
What?
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Joe.
Kind of against the grain.
Here, go ahead. I'm gonna pee. You go ahead and you tell Jeremy about your connection. Here, let me increase the size of your window. Go ahead.
Jeremy, one big thing that I really want to cover here is, who do you think has the right to the Holy Land?
You do not put him through this.
I know there's been a lot of, I've been hearing kind of a lot of debate around this topic.
Well, sure. And most of my stand-up is based around this topic, so I appreciate you doing the research.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up Jewish, I mean, there's that, but then I was married to a Palestinian woman, so there's that. So it kind of depends on which day you ask me about this, to be honest with you, and how I feel about my now ex-wife. and conversely, because I am adopted, how I feel about my adopted family. You know what I mean? It's like some days I feel like, well, my ex-wife is a good person and better, so it's the Palestinians who have the right to the Holy Land. But then sometimes I'm like, you know what, she was kind of not great, and my parents have been nice to me today, and they're Jewish, so I'm 6s and 7s on this.
You should have like put it in like the prenup, like, you know, if we get a divorce, I will say that your people had a right to the whole.
Well, I'm not saying she didn't ask. I mean, there are reasons you get divorced, Joe.
I recall. Just kidding. Sorry. That's funny.
Okay. So we handled that. Other tough questions as Jacob comes back from the bathroom?
You missed it, man.
Jesus Christ. Do I still have the show, or did you guys continue to talk about the Holy Land?
I think I gave a very honest answer. And you'll have to catch it in post.
I know. I was just gonna say I'm gonna catch it in post. Don't even bother. I got it.
It's gonna upset a lot of Columbia students.
If it's on wax,
NYU.
It's good to go, baby. So, thank you for that. Oh my God, I'm so full.
Dude, I've never seen you eat for that long.
Oh my God, that's the thing. It wasn't necessarily even the quantity, and though it was a lot of food, it was more so the just the duration for how long I was eating.
Yeah. Wait, so what was your favorite room? What do you think is the best quality room to record in? And also, which is your favorite room just to perform in?
Yeah, so those are, I'm hearing two different questions. One is about the recording, and then one is about the actual just experience of performing there.
Well, so I'll give you three, honestly, because there's, I love that you throw that over your shoulder. So I kind of feel in general that Philly, because of its small ceilings, is a really good room to record in, because the sound is like very tightened without having to, kind of fix the reverb yourself. So that would, to me, be like auditorily my favorite to perform in. Here in I'll get to that third. In Indy, which Jared Freed has a special that's actually coming out tonight. I did the audio for it. I actually do the intro as well. That's a little plug. But
nameless plug. Where's that available?
It's available at Jared Freed's YouTube channel.
Jared Freed, is that Fried?
It is. So
spelling is big on this show. We spell everything.
What's that?
Here. Spelling is big here.
Oh, I thought you meant Aaron Spelling.
No,
the father.
We
of
also
Tori
love
Spelling.
the whole Spelling family.
Of course, Randy, Tori's brother. He was on Now 2-0.
Wow.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Thank you. Anyways, so the club in Indy feels like a small theater. You know what I mean? Because they've got like a whole first level, and then there's a balcony. And so like if you watch Jared's, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And the ceilings are low?
No, the ceilings are high.
Oh, so it's different.
But it feels like a theater. You know what I mean? So like Philly, if you want to do like a tight, like compact, whatever. That's why I like Philly. Indy it feels like a theater. And then we just started filming here in Raleigh last week. And Raleigh's a super old club, but the stage is real high.
Oh yeah.
So it on video looks like a theater because the stage is like super high. So it depends kind of like, because we run into this as a record label with managers. It's like, well, are you just looking for a really tight shot? Do you want to do like a bigger thing that looks like a theater, or do you want to do like something that looks like more epic with like a high stage?
Right. So, I'd bet that the theater thing is gonna catch more eyes just because people, Netflix is kind of like like the millennial like open mic room, because your generation, like you'd go out and see something and you wouldn't even know what you're gonna see, where millennials are like, we don't even know who's gonna be there. And so like Netflix has kind of become like this, like, and it's not even like HBO, because HBO is something that you kind of had to have premium access to, where everybody has Netflix. Sorry, I'm out. I'm out.
No, you're great. You're great. No, it's he called me old, And
Not that old. I'm just saying.
No, this is getting really good. This is getting really good. I can't wait. We're gonna clip up the whole feud.
Can we do like this pose? Like
Yeah,
like this?
yeah. But we'll make sure we get plenty of that. Like at
Joe,
the
you
end of
ready?
an episode of Hot Ones where they pose like. So. How much of that affects the performance aspect, do you think? When like not just the crowd sizes or crowd capacity, but the actual ergonomic space of the room, how does that kind of change your interaction with the audience when you're either witnessing or performing stand up?
I think all of it affects it so differently than music, you know what I mean? Cuz like I feel like with music, which is what I did first, you know,
Sure.
is you go up, it's you and a couple other people, so you're kind of up there as a unified team. B, it's like once you start playing, it doesn't matter what the crowd's doing. The stage volume's so loud, like it doesn't matter, right? But like stand up, it's like you get in your head about how many people are there. You get in your head about, are they laughing? You get in your head about like, why the fuck am I in Fort Wayne, Indiana? Like, like
Right.
and those things can come around. Like you can go like, oh, it turns out Muskegon, Michigan is actually a really cool crowd, but
Yeah,
I
see, I hear
didn't
weird shit
expect
like
it to
that.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
great.
Has there ever been a room that you didn't think that like is an alternative club? So it's not like a comedy club, but it's something you've performed comedy in that you thought like, wow, this should really become a comedy club because this really worked.
Like a bodega.
Bathroom, or a bodega or a truck stop.
well, I mean, I've never performed at truck stop, but
Birthday
that sounds
party.
really fun.
That'd be
I
cool.
want to
Yeah.
do the showers. I want to perform at the showers.
That's
at the
that's
Loves.
where my mind was. Yeah.
Okay. Well, at that point, define perform.
Oh, you know what I'm doing.
I do actually.
They
So I
nailed
think
it.
Yeah,
A lot of crowd work
Yeah.
when I'm doing the showers at Loves.
Oh, nice. That was good where you brought that in at the end. I don't know. Like there've been a couple, like just when I was starting out, like you would do I think if I'm remembering it correctly, and it was so long ago, but like Muskegon, Michigan is a good example of like you just were like in a bar situation and it was like, oh, that turned out to be really fun. I had no idea. But 90% of the time you walk in, you're like, this is gonna suck. And you're like, yep, it sucked.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you're usually right about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that a problem with comedy intrinsically? Is it seems to be an art form where you're constantly trying to achieve this thing that is really great in spite of so many things. I mean, is a big part of it that it's kind of already set up to be like there's so many obstacles. Like is comedy entertaining because it's so hard to pull off successfully because of all the barriers?
Yeah, I mean, I've always argued that the hardest thing about comedy is unless you know the person, it's just a stranger talking to you. And
Right.
how long are you really going to pay attention to a stranger before your girlfriend's like blah 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 blah, or you're like, oh, do I need another beer or whatever? And now, I mean, it's again as Joe alluded to, being as old as I am. I mean, when I started, people had cell phones, but there wasn't texting. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Wow.
You were playing jacks at the soda
Jesus
fountain.
Christ.
well, what I would do is I would walk on stage with a wheel, and then I'd have a stick, right? And I'd be like rolling the wheel with a stick,
Oh
and that's
my
how
God.
I'd keep them focused as I
Yeah.
as
and
I
then
told my yarns.
and then the closer was fire.
Yep. I just I'd set a witch on fire.
He'd burn a
wow.
witch in the cave.
It was a different time.
But no, it was so even that like garnering people's attention has been the weirdest thing about stand up anymore. You know what I mean? It's like no one ever really came. I shouldn't say no one, but like frequently people in the crowd at stand up shows were like, I don't know who this person is. I just wanted to go on a date at 7:00. This'll do.
Yeah,
That feels
I'm trying to get
ideal.
a hand job in the parking lot of the Galleria. We just left the pasta house. This place is open. Let's get an appletini while the lewds kick in.
You told me you wouldn't tell anybody.
Did you just
about that.
Did you just write the most St. Louis postcard ever?
That's exactly what that sounds like. That's exactly what I'm thinking of. The person who, because we were just making fun of who was probably going to be our next mayor, has been ejected from the Galleria for throwing a fit. But so we were just talking about her at the top of the show, and then I was just thinking Helium here in St. Louis is like in the mall, and so if you go to the Pasta House for dinner on a Tinder date when the world is open, and then you just want to have an appletini and continue to talk while you kind of work on your chicken parmesan before you go get a tug job in the parking garage, you go watch a little local stand-up.
But by the way, Tug Job was my favorite 80s wrestler.
That's a great wrestler name. Tug Job, the Invincible.
Well, it's
Tug Job McCoy.
It feels like a rite of passage, actually. I know Naked Glacier was always joking about, yeah, I used to steal from here all the time. And I'm like, first of all, probably not true. But then also, I feel like that would be a defense for this current mayor situation. She'd be like, well, who hasn't been kicked out of the gallery?
Yeah, that's the thing, too. Is
so
like,
wait,
I
don't live there anymore. Is this which mayor?
So Lyda Cruson is retiring, and so she's going to go die like the lion from the Golden Compass, and she's going to vaporize like Luke Skywalker, and so we just voted in the primary yesterday. It's going to be either Shashara Jones or Kara Spencer. They're going against the Republican, but that's not really a threat here. So we were talking. They're both kind of progressives. Kara Spencer dated at separate times 2 different guests of the show. And then a mutual friend of ours, who shall remain nameless for his own anonymity, told me on good authority that old girl got kicked out of the Apple store at the Galleria for throwing a fit because her warranty was expired and she felt like she was being pressured into upgrading.
Ooh, I know who that friend is.
Yeah, and she got fully ejected from the situation. There was even talks of like a ban from that location.
That's hilarious.
Well, I'm not local anymore, but I will say when I worked in the state capitol, Shashara Jones was one of the nicest people I encountered on a daily basis.
Thank God, I needed that.
So take that for what you will. But
I saw her at a Mexican restaurant once, and I wanted to go give her my I voted sticker because I had just voted for her, and then she had just lost. But then I didn't because she was drinking with her staff, and I wanted to leave her alone.
When I worked in Jeff City, she could not have been nicer. And no one owed me anything, and she was so nice.
Just nice anyway. See, that's true niceness.
Yeah.
Unless she thought maybe that you were of authority, and she just didn't know. But I've never assumed that about you.
I don't know. Oh, yeah, that guy with 14 jelly bracelets.
Yeah, the guy with the Madonna bracelets. Yeah, be nice to him. He could be in charge. He's probably a lobbyist for Pfizer.
I love that.
Jeremy, so you have so many things I could promote. I'm going to give you some of your time back this evening after my guests tried to start a fight with you.
It's weird.
I know, isn't that crazy? I don't understand. But so listen, so you engineered and produced the Jim Freed special that's out on YouTube tonight.
Jared
Freed. Yes. Good. See, this is why I wanted to review these things with you. Jared Freed, that's out tonight on YouTube. The Defeated County has music available featuring our friend Jeremy Essig on your streaming platforms.
Yup.
Helium Records is the record label.
HeliumComedyRecords.com.
HeliumComedyRecords.com. We'll put that in the description. Joe, will you write that down so I don't forget? Thanks, Joe. He's writing it down. See, look at him go. And also, Let's Not, LET''S correct is the correct spelling.
Yes.
Also original music with Jeremy Essig available
on
all of that stuff. Apple Music. You're probably on Deezer. Who's your distributor? Are you a DistroKid guy? Sony. You just go straight. You pipe it straight to Mickey Mouse, huh?
I'll just be completely honest. Because of the comedy record label, we have Sony as our distributor, so I get my own boutique label where I can release music.
Yeah, you can sneak some stuff in there. That's funny. I would be like if that would be hilarious. Like if someone's like 4 tracks of the way through like a comedy record, and then all of a sudden it's like a bunch of like rock music they weren't expecting. It's like, what is this? It's like, I've hijacked this release.
It's just me screaming over a distorted guitar.
It's a Yoko Ono tribute record. That's exactly what
No, I want to tell you, like, just on level with that, because I think you'd think this is funny, Jake, and then I know you're trying to close it up. So I also contribute to a podcast called Rock the Cash Bar out of Houston. And they wanted me to do a cover of Miserlou by Dick Dale.
Yeah.
So this is just when we're talking about music. I think you'd love this. So I did it, but I did it in my guitar tone, which if you listen to any of those Let's Nots albums is very fuzzy.
Yeah.
Because I'm from the 90s, as Joe brought up. I'm very old. Yeah. And
you were there when they invented fuzz.
Jesus.
Yeah. And I got an email back that said, no, it sounds right, but it sounds like really distorted. Did you record it wrong? And I was like,
oh my gosh.
No, I did that intentionally, but I can.
No, that's all stylistic choice, but thank you. It's like, yeah, I really love the whole thing except for your favorite part. I really love everything about it except for the part of it that expresses your taste and personality. That's the part that we want to change.
Except the thing that sounds like you. If we could get
except
you
the
out
part
of it,
that's like is mixed up in your identity and you've been on a journey with this your whole life. Take that part out. The rest of it's solid.
The only reason we asked you to do it instead of just using the Miserlou track.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We wanted you to put your own spin on it, but could it sound just like the original?
Same.
So yeah, also, but I mean that podcast is actually very fun. So Rock the Cash Bar, heliumcomedyrecords.com, and Jared Freed has a special, and yeah, I think that should cover it.
That's great. I love and I want to have you back on to do some stuff. We are going to start doing live performances down here. The Defeated County is going to be amongst our inaugural cast of characters that we're going to have down here. So next time you're coming through, we'll have to schedule something in advance.
I will be in town in April, so let's do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's put that on the books, and I'll make sure to give Joe a Xanax beforehand. Jesus.
NPR owed us a favor, so NPR is going to go ahead and produce our First Basement show at our studio. True. But we were kind of thinking about not doing it. They don't really have the reach that we want. But
yeah, we're wondering if we want to stoop to that level. We're wondering if that's like the right platform for us.
Well, I mean, sometimes you do favors for others, you know.
Yeah, like an entire network of,
like the truck stop.
Or the truck stop, the Men at the Loves.
Yeah.
When I'm doing my crowd work at the Loves showers.
Men at the Loves was my favorite Pet Shop Boys album, and I'm glad you referenced it.
Hey, let me ask you, because we opened the show with this. When you hear the lyric, sucking on a chili dog outside the Tasty Freeze, how does that make you feel?
Well, I don't like John Mellencamp anyways, so it fills me with ire. It's, I understand the what exists for it, like in the ether for that phrasing, but he's just terrible anywais. Like,
so what is in that? Because I'm so anti that song and
Fake?
That lyric.
Falseness. I mean, Mellencamp to me is very much of the ilk of and this will probably piss people off more than what I'm about to say about Mellencamp is. It's when Springsteen was like, yeah, man, I've never worked in a factory. Like, this is all just me. And Springsteen does it better. Springsteen's very much a better, teller of these stories. Mellencamp's just like, I was the prettiest guy in Indiana.
Right.
And I could kind of sing. So suddenly I'm telling these rural Midwestern, like, I grew up in Ohio. I lived in St. Louis most of my life. Like, I know what the Midwest looks like. That
would have been a male model if he wasn't 3 feet tall.
Well, yeah, exactly.
He's literally a voodoo doll of Sally Fields.
The phrasing of that is not great, and I can see where it's easy to make a joke about, but it's like when something's terrible, it's like, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? It's like if you drive a Yugo, who's like, well, I don't like how the cup holders look. It's like, it's a fucking Yugo. Who gives a shit?
Right.
Which part of this are we talking about now?
Yeah, what?
You're talking about the chili dog?
I'm just talking about him being terrible in general and Yugos being terrible.
Yeah. Because I was thinking sucking on a chili dog. We were just talking about we have this problem where there's like at least 2 groups of people, and we can draw that binary from how you feel about the lyric of that song. Do you really enjoy that song, or do you feel like, ugh, like we do? And there's a lot of people that like that, and I'm trying to figure out why.
Because it's anachronistic.
See?
It references a part of your past that doesn't exist.
It's like acting like, oh man, me and my dad used to always get cheeseburgers. But it's like, you got a cheeseburger one time. If you always got cheeseburgers, you guys would both be dead because you ate nothing but cheeseburgers.
Right.
Well, that is Indiana, but I mean, I think you can do it. You can do it generationally. So like the dude from Eve 6 has become really big on Twitter, right?
Oh man, that's great. When washed up frontmen become big on Twitter, it's usually a lot of coded racial language.
That's right. 3 is Grace.
Are trapped.
Daughtry.
Okay. So what happened to the guy from Eve 6? I think he's English.
No, he's from California.
Son of a, who are we talking about? Are we talking Heart in a Blender guy?
Yes.
Okay, so what did he do on Twitter?
Well, he just got really big because he largely just started making fun of people. It was actually pretty funny. Like,
wow.
But what I'm saying is it made me go back and listen to them, and I was never a fan of theirs. But then you listen to Here's the Night, and you go, yeah, that feels, like, especially if you watch the video, to me it was like, oh yeah, that feels like something I was a part of, but I was not. I was like 4 years past that. And if you watch it, they're like, I'll go into this party. And it was like, we never had parties like that. Like, that had nothing to do with my youth. And I think to some people, it's like that, like, bullshit song, Jack and Diane. It's like, they're like, oh, yeah, that's how I grew up. And it's like, no, it's really not. But now you've set it in your head that that's what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, people always say, like, people act like they eat apple pie every day. Because apple pie, like, represents, like, things, right? American things, I guess. And then so they act like that, I like good old fashioned, like, apple pie, brother. And it's like, what? Like, what do you mean just like they're referring to actually a whole lifestyle and an ideal?
Mm-hmm.
But not so much so they're thinking like sucking on a chili dog outside the Tasty Freeze, you're saying is like this false nostalgia that they kind of create for themselves.
By the way, I always thought the line was sucking on Chili's dog, and Chili was the name of his friend.
Even better.
Even better.
I always interpret.
I mean, that's good.
I mean, that's how I always took it.
Sucking on Chili's dog.
I like to imagine. I like to imagine that this was actually a product of, like, similar to The Godfather, where they made up these fake rules for the gangs, and then the gangs started picking it up. So it's like they started making up these fake, like, rules for Midwestern culture, and everybody now is like becoming gay and sucking on each other's dogs. Like that's America.
Oh, like if we just convince enough people that the lyric is
that's
sucking
America.
on Chili's dog, then they'll just assume that the lyric is sucking on Chili's dog, and then the children are all going to grow up to suck on dogs.
Can this episode please be called "Sucking on Chili's Dog"?
Yeah. I think I was already going to name it "Sucking on a Chili Dog," but now we got to change it to that, and I think that'll help the copyright implications.
Question mark. It's got to be.
If we change it, it'll be like how Vanilla Ice did the bass line, where he added.
No, I went da 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 da.
Yeah.
Oh, so the exact same thing? Okay.
Yeah. Sweet. Same. So you added a hi-hat, is what you're saying, but that's good.
Yeah.
No, that's good. You're right, Ice. Rob, Mr. Ice.
I got to turn on that song now. We need to close with that song.
But what? Who said we're closing? I have plenty of material. I was just going to let Jeremy get back to work because you keep cussing at him.
I miss you at the
slandering my
Club,
poor
Jeremy.
guest.
Jeremy, you were one of the best local acts. You were really good.
Yeah, he can't hang with the touring guys.
That.
He's a real piece of shit on a national scale. But when you lived here and you only worked here, Jeremy, you were the shit, brother.
You're pretty dope.
I don't even know where to start. It's so weird. Like I feel like I was joining a friend of mine, and then this all became very combative, and it's been a weird hour, y'all.
It's been so good. It's been so good. I'm so happy to see you. You're such a blessing.
No, it's great to see you, man.
You're the voice of your generation.
It was
As
also
Joe
good to
said,
see you, Jeremy.
If it was 1876, you'd be like Kylie Minogue right now.
I'm not sure your timeline's correct, but thank you.
I told you I didn't even. I really bombed the ACT twice.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks everybody. Bye. I don't fucking know.
HeliumComedyRecords.com. Jeremy
I love you,
Essig on
Jeremy.
all your favorite platforms. Jeremy, thank you so much. I love you, buddy. I'll see you real soon. Let's talk about April.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.
Great. Good fun. Good times. Great oldies. Jesus, Joe.
I know. I'm sorry.
What are you doing?
Sometimes the delivery is just bad.
That is
I
a
didn't mean to be
good,
rude.
dear friend of mine.
Yeah, he was really sweet. I really misjudged
You
him.
immediately come in with, "Hey, do you remember me?"
Yeah, I guess I
He
was
hadn't
a little
even
too
logged
excited.
in yet. I didn't
Yeah, it
even
was-
know for sure that he was on the call yet.
Yeah, it was really dumb. I'm sorry.
I love it. No, I
It's-
love it.
it-
Oh my
it was
God.
horrible.
The
It set
cringe
the
gold.
tune
You
for the
can't
whole-
create this kind of moment.
Yeah, I really thought I was the spotlight there. It was bad.
No. It was great. You were excited.
Yeah, I was excited, but
You were
also
excited
just-
to see him, and you hadn't seen him in even longer than I had. And I was excited to see him. He's a good friend of mine, and you're right. He is a very humble talent to work with, and I'm glad you recognized him and remembered him for the Helium days. I just thought that moment was so funny. It's peak Joe. It's my favorite Joe thing. I was serious. We got tons of other shit to talk about here, so strap in, bitch. Jeremy Essig, good friend of ours. Always a pleasure. I don't feel like we can move on to any of this.
Yeah, this is about to get really deep.
This is a lot of stuff. Let's hit some headlines and get the fuck out of here. And we'll save some of this shit for next week. You know, the guy was talking to Big Game, like, no, we're fucking doing it. We're an hour and a half in. My goodness. I can't believe I've put off Wendell for another week, but he's probably dead. He was a crazy person.
We really got to get to that.
So we're not going to get to that today. We're not going to talk about all this metaphorical stuff. We're not going to talk about any of this. Latest news. What's the last thing I had you put in here? Parkway North High School to close for nearly a month due to COVID-19. That's partly their spring break. But this was the school we were talking about that the health department stepped in. Did I tell you this?
I think we ended at that, and then
and then Jeremy showed up. So you're saying you put this at the wrong place in the,
I did. I rushed
in the show prep. So this is your fault?
It is.
My God.
I know.
Don't send this one to Lion's Choice.
You know what
I want
think
that
is,
money. I want that money in the bag, Joe. When I say put the beef in the bag, that means you put the beef.
If you get really famous and you make a lot of Lion's Choice money, are you gonna keep? Can I stay as the producer?
I don't even know if I want you to call yourself that anymore. I know I told you earlier.
Yeah.
I know I said, Joe, you have to tell people you're the producer. We have to be equal partners in this. You have to advocate for yourself. And then it goes right to your head, and you come in and you shit all over my guest.
I know. Yeah, I know.
You bomb. It's brilliant. It's like a level of. It's like how I felt about. You remember in Portlandia, the two librarian ladies, the ladies that owned the bookstore.
Yeah, I have a poster of them.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You would.
No, I'm just kidding.
That's the kind of sense of humor that whole last hour with him was.
Yeah.
It was like it's so much of it was funny and entertaining, and we got the message across, but also it all had this level of like you can't look away, but it's like an American Idol audition. It's like watching a car crash into someone's anus.
Yeah.
I had to shake that crazy off me, Joe. My God.
I didn't get to ask him, but I was going to ask him how.
Oh, you had questions?
Yeah, I still have a question about how.
I love when I let you get. Oh, I can't wait to find out what you guys talked about when I was peeing. I bet you that was. Did you tell him something about getting divorced?
No, well, so he got into his divorce, and we was talking about his father, and
what?
I mean, yeah, his father dropped him at a bus stop or something when he was younger, and then he got married, and Israel has the right to the Holy Land.
On paper, that all sounds fine, but that's one of those look at who you're in the room with things. And it's
Right,
not that I'm
yeah.
anti-Israel. It's just that people that are really aggressively pro-Israel I don't know that I want to be affiliated with them. So that's a hard road. That's why that's the joke.
Right.
On the show. I love how I'm just turning into Don King. I look like, my God. That's the joke on the show, is that when we don't know what to talk about, let's wrap it up with like the most complicated and controversial topic
It probably is the most complicated topic
It's
ever.
so complicated. It's definitely more complicated than abortion.
That's right.
But I don't think it's more controversial locally, at least.
Male rights.
So let's write all this down. Jeremy Essig, dear friend of mine, super multi-talented dude. He's also older than shit, and really he was only top notch on a local scale. Is that your summation? You rat bastard.
Yeah. He also
slanderous thief in the night.
He also had like one of the most complex, vocabularies I've ever heard. It was like a different language listening.
He is a highly intelligent individual, and that's part of what I started to kind of uncover there as we were talking to him, is that I've known that about him. I've always known that he scored obscenely high on his SATs, and because it's something he used to talk about in his act. Yeah. And so I've always looked for evidence of that and things that he did. Because when you know something about somebody, you look for it. Right?
Yeah,
like Alfred is another one of these guys. Like Al Ludwig is a really, really smart dude who knows a lot of things in some detail. Jeremy's equally as surprising in the level of detail he can get into about certain things. He's very intuitive.
We should have gotten into
very
stonks
close
with
attention.
him.
He's never, to my knowledge, had like the crazy drinking benders like I used to have, so he remembers a lot more of his life than I do. And
he dresses that part though.
He's a strapping lad, and highly intelligent.
Yeah, I've got the word here, anachronistic. I've got ilk. I didn't understand.
Yeah, he'll say a word. He's got, look, I love words. I have the best words.
Was that
So I love him. Tomorrow night we are shooting some very special content for Jacob V Weekly. And part of an extended celebration of our 20th episode. And we are just really excited. Every week I feel like we're growing exponentially in our capacity for the things we want to do. We are still talking merch. We are still talking content on other platforms. We are still talking guests, musical guests. We have the set all ready to go down here. My pedal board just got here from Texas, and it works, and it's pretty.
I also wanted to tell him about a contest that we have coming up. So if you can confirm and if you can send to the podcast page that you have gathered at least
Instagram,
at least 20 followers for us, you will get 5 free sweater hoodies from the first batch, and they're going to be exclusive to you. Special color, special design.
This is a lot of math. Are you making this up?
No, this is real. We talked about this.
So listen, guys, hoodies for followers. Okay.
Yeah.
Bring me the metadata and I'll give you a fucking hoodie.
Yeah,
I need to sell them at $1,449.95 a piece to get to my $70,000 goal. So you're getting like 10 grand worth of hoodies there for free.
You will get 5 of those hoodies. And if you go to the Etsy page, I will
buy you a
that
Nissan
they're $1,000.
If you get one person to sub for a month on Twitch, or if you can get somebody to send a medium pizza to my house, I'm going to buy you a Nissan Leaf.
You can email us at jacobvweekly@gmail.com, or you can hit us up direct message in the Instagram.
If you go through the Jimmy John's drive-thru and you get me a large pickle and a bag of Thinny chips, I'm going to get you a buy one, get one Kia Soul. I'm going to get you one in green and one in blue.
Jake, you cannot say that we cannot afford that.
I feel like that's what you're doing. You know how much money I need to make on these hoodies to hit 70 grand, and you're going to give 5 of them away?
Yeah, but
likes?
The 5 that we give away will be 5 of 10, and the rest, the other 5, will be listed on the Etsy page for $1,000.
Is it likes or is it followers?
We need followers.
On what platform?
We need the Instagram. We want Instagram followers, and you'll get 5 exclusive hoodies, any size you like. And a birthday shout out, but we need to discuss that. But it's up to you. It'll be a coupon.
Now I really feel like you're making shit up as we go.
No, we talked about this before the podcast.
I agreed to all of this?
Yeah, it was part of the it was part of our tax break system.
God, dude, I'm gonna get so fucked on my taxes, bro.
Yeah, we really gotta. If nobody's watching, we can just cover that now.
No. We got people. We got people on the docket. Let me wrap this up for the week. What do you say here?
God bless America.
Guys, that's another episode of Jacob V Weekly. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Google, whatever. We have a new Instagram page for the show at Jacob V Weekly. That's JACOBVIWEEKLY. We post exclusive content, clips, highlights. Jacob V Weekly on Instagram. You can also find original music by Jacob V on all of your music platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Deezer, etc. You can follow me on Twitter at Malachi Envy, or just search for Jacob V STL. I curate a monthly Spotify playlist since May of last year. March is up, brothers, and it's a doozy. A lot of good femme vibes. Jacob V's favorite songs on Spotify.